Welcome to another edition of the Radio Coffee House Show, where Jesus meets coffee meets talk radio. And the next one starts right now. How's it going, everybody? Clint Armitage with the Radio Coffee House. Thanks for coming back and thanks for listening in. We got a good show for you today because I got one of my good buddies here. His name is Abel Hernandez. Now, we've known each other for a long time, and during that time, we've had a really great relationship, but we're actually going to get into something that we have opposite views on, and that's about religion, Christianity, believing in God. So this episode is called Religion versus Relationship. All right, thanks for coming back, everybody. Like I said, this episode is called Religion versus Relationship, and I got my good buddy in here, Abel Hernandez, and he's going to bring up his qualms that he has with religion. And I'm going to talk about what I believe, and he's going to talk about what he believes in terms of that. And we're going to be having a discussion, and it may get a little controversial, may get a little heated. Who knows? We're going to actually have to see as we start to talk about this. But I'm going to go ahead and introduce him, let him come in, talk about himself just a little bit, and then we'll get into the topic. All right, Abel Hernandez, who are you? Tell all the people what's going on.
Hola, hola, hola. My name is Abel Hernandez from the 43rd Street Dragons. It's my breakdancer crew back in the 80s. Live in Southeast San Diego, 50 years old, but I look 49, and pretty much it. We'll see what else we find out about myself.
We'll actually hear some more from him right now, because the topic, again, is religion versus relationship, and He was talking to me earlier about how people get religious to the point where they actually don't love the other person just because of their religion or how they think about things. And so he says one of the things that he doesn't like to bring up, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, during conversations is religion or politics. Those two things that are supposed to be taboo or whatever, right? That we shouldn't be talking about. So
well,
tell me why.
I say that from experience, from being in the food industry for over 25 years, where there's always politics and religion going on. And it's a true fact where you don't talk about that while you're drinking because no one wins the argument. And it's always an argument. It's never a peaceful ending. And you're out and about, especially with alcohol being consumed. It's different because now you get a little heated and now your mouth says more things that you're supposed to and you can't control it as much. So I would always, when I would hear somebody say something about a religion or politics, I'd be like, hey guys, this round's on me, but can you please not talk about politics or religion and just have a good time, enjoy the game, and go on from there. So that's kind of the mentality I have for myself, where I don't believe in politics and I don't believe in religion and I don't know enough about it, and I choose not to learn about it because then I can't ever have a debate about it because I have no knowledge about it. So in a sense, you can't call me dumb for not wanting to learn something I don't believe in. And those are my beliefs, so I choose to do them and carry my life that way. I don't hurt anybody. I don't talk bad about anybody. These are just my beliefs. I think for me, in my life, anyone that believed in politics, it was a hard person for me to get along with because they would always try to debate stuff with it. And I would just continue saying, hey, I don't know anything about that. I don't care about the president and politics and religion. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't make my life better. It doesn't make it worse. I don't need it in my life. If you choose to do that, to debate religion or politics with people that are into it and believe in it and have a debate about it, that's cool, but I'm not one of those people.
Okay, so tell me about the incident you were actually talking about in regards to coming on this show and the experience that you had with that. Tell everybody about that. What happened?
So at work, I have a lot of Catholics at work, and I was talking to them, and I say, hey, one of my best friends wants to do a podcast about this. And a lot of them are Catholic, and they're older, and they're hardcore, according to them, they're hardcore Catholics. So I kept telling them, like, hey, I don't believe in God, this and that. I was like, oh, Abel, you need to. I'm like, hey, why can't I have my own opinion about it? It's like, oh, well, didn't you get baptized? I'm like, yeah, I was a kid. I didn't have a choice. My mother was Catholic, and so I had to do whatever my mother asked me to do because I was a kid. But as soon as I was in my teenage days, a lot of bad things happening around me in my life where people were dying, loved ones, gang atmosphere shootings, or drug overdoses, people just getting cancer, great people in the world dying from cancer at a young age, and they were the best human beings that I've been around, in by my teenage years. And if there was, to me, I said, if there is a God, why are you choosing the greatest people to die first? And me, I just didn't understand it. So from then on, I'm like, I don't think there's a God, because everyone around me is praying to a God for this person to get better, and I never saw that person get better. I only saw that person die.
Okay, so tell me, how did they react when you were telling them all this, especially about the religion part, when you were telling them that you don't believe in God? How did they react to it?
Right, so first of all, when I say I don't believe in God, they already looked at me like if I was the devil. And they're like, in a sense, they're saying, how dare you say that? Like I'm threatening them or something. But I'm just telling them, hey, this is what it's going to be about. And they're like, well, why don't you? And we get along like family over there. They're the funniest girls and guys and this and that. We crack, joke around all the time. But for some reason, once I said that, they knew that I didn't really believe, but when they just hate hearing me say those words, like, I don't believe in God. And if I say that 3 times in a row, they'll probably shoot me or something. Like, they don't know how to take that word. It's like cussing at them or talking about them. And according to them, it's probably like talking about their father. Talking bad about them. But I don't say nothing negative about it. I just say I choose not to believe in them because for me, that's just my choice. But a lot of religions, it's like, okay, you could believe in your own religion. But really inside of their heart, they're saying, F that guy if he doesn't believe in my religion. My religion is the only religion. That guy's religion is not. And they say it on the outside like, oh, that's fine. You could be a Christian. You could be a Muslim. I'm okay with that. Good for you. But inside, I know that they're hurting like, hell no, there can't be any other religion but mine. And that's what hurts me so much. That's what pisses me off, because no one legitimately let the other person be their own religion, be their own person, believe their own gods, believe in their own faith, believe in their own thing. That's what I think freedom is, to have a choice for that. But deep down inside, if you're truly religious, I don't believe you give the opportunity to anybody else to have their own beliefs. That's what bothers me. Okay,
so you think for the most part, everybody that you've met that have been quote unquote religious has come across this way with that type of mindset where if I say that you can just believe in whatever you want, but in my heart, I'm thinking, wow, he's the devil. I'm saying one thing, but I'm actually not believing that same thing I'm saying. So that's what you're saying.
Right, that's how I feel that other people feel about me when I do that. But I truly let you be whoever you want to be. This is this is the religion I believe in. The religion that I believe in, it's called be a good person. That's it. You don't need karma's not going to be there anymore. Help when you need to help, not to show people in the public eye like, hey, look what I did, woohoo. I know I'm a good person when I go to bed, when I go to sleep, and I don't have anything like hanging behind my back or anything, because just be a good person. You don't have to worry about things that happen. And if bad things do happen to you, I don't ever pray to God or whatever. The only God I knew that I had experience was my mother. When I was sick and I'm like, oh, please, Mom, help me. She would help me. Oh, please, Mom, take the word out God and put Mom. That was my God. I physically got a touch from her. I physically got financial help from her, physical, everything that she could do for her son, she did, and that's a big part for me. Is like, if there was truly a God, it would have been my mother, because I hear stories, I think God died on a cross or something, but my mom would have died on a cross also if it was her or me. She would be pinned up there. So that's the only closest thing I could honestly believe. And everyone's going to say, well, who created your mother? I would say my grandmother, and we could go into infinity. All
right, so there's a couple things to unpack here, but I'm going to start off with the first one, and I'm going to relate this to me because we've known each other a long time, and I have believed in God since you've known me, right? So just me caring about you, you caring about me, do you think I have those same tendencies to say, hey, you can believe whatever you want, but I will still judge you? Or do you think do I actually care about you and do believe that you have the freedom to believe what you want to believe? With me personally.
Right. In my opinion, I think when we first met, I didn't, everyone's religious, but we don't really speak about it. Especially, they don't speak about it to me, because a lot of people that know me, they know like, hey, it's not a conversation that we're going to have with Abel. And but with you, I think in the beginning, you probably did think that in the beginning just because you really didn't know the person that I am. But then as we became friends longer and time went by, now you knew again that I was a good person and I had a good heart. And now you could give me the opportunity, be like, hey, you know what? He's not a bad person. All right. He's not a Christian like I am or whatever. But now I do believe him and he doesn't need to have a religion because he is a good person. But in the beginning, when you don't know anybody very well, then you could choose judgment like that person's a bad person. But then you get to know that person and it's like, oh, all right, now I could let him have his own opinion about religion and this and that. But I think 99.9% of the people, when you first meet somebody and you find out that they don't believe in God, their mind goes crazy. They say probably a lot of bad things inside of their head and this and that, but they don't allow it. Until they know you for a longer time, then they get it. They're like, all right, you know what? He's not a bad person. You know what? Yeah. All right, Abel. Now you could like me, be around me, and be your own religious self and your own politics and this and that, because my friendship with you had nothing to do with religion or politics.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to do right now. I'm actually going to flip that around a little bit because I agree in terms of some things take time for people to understand each other and to actually have grace for each other and actually love one another, right? Truly, unconditionally, that kind of thing. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip it now with you and say, can you take that same premise, the same thing you just talked about, and because what you talked about was a relationship versus religion. Religion is in the beginning and then relationship comes into play. And next thing you know, you're okay with me and I'm okay with you. So can you do the same thing with God? Have you ever given time for a relationship to build to say whether or not you have had the opportunity to give God a chance? And I'm not even saying give God a chance, give you a chance to understand God. Have you done that?
Well, for instance, my brother's a hardcore Christian, and in the beginning, he and I would go at it already as adults. But when he became a hardcore Christian, he's even admitted that, he was harsh on me, forcing the religion on me and thinking, like literally calling me the devil and this and that, and I think he made it worse for me because he was pressuring me to do all this stuff. And again, as he got into the religion for more years, he realized that, hey, this isn't what my Christianity is. I don't need to go to church. He just needs to have faith in God, and God is going to do whatever he needs to do. And he tells me that God speaks to him and says, hey, not in these words, but hey, your brother has a purpose in life that's bigger than ours. And so he's special for some reason, and my brother tells me this, and I'm like, I don't want to be special. I don't want to be that person because that puts something on my back. Like, I need to become something great. And I just want to be me, just me, live my life the way it is and just be me. But he spoke to me in a different tone than when in the beginning, because I was mad at him at every conversation because he was shoving that down my throat, and he's my big brother and he physically could shove it down my throat. But I would hate him. And that anything in life since I was a kid, and I remember even in elementary school, I got kicked out, because no one likes to be told what to do. Now, it's even worse when someone's forcing it down your throat and making you believe what they believe in because they believe in it. Same thing with politics. If you don't believe this in politics, you're nothing. And why do you do this? And then race comes in and this and that and white privilege and so many things come with, politics, that if you don't believe what they're preaching in anything, religion or politics, then I'm going to destroy you. They belittle everyone under them because they're supposed to be at the highest power. So after my brother, spoke to me correctly and came at me correctly as a loving brother, as an older brother, as a mentor of mine, I would think, and just to see if I felt anything. Like, all right, God, how's this work? What do you do? And, but I didn't feel anything. Like everyone that's religious, they tell me that they feel something in their heart and like, God saved me. God did this. I wasn't. They tell me, I was a drug addict and I found God and now I'm like a whole different person. That's another thing about religion. If you murdered, molested a little kid and you found God in jail serving life prison term, I don't care. you shouldn't be okay. There's nothing that could bring back, especially if it's your child that they did that to, but now they're preachers in jail the rest of their 50-year life term or whatever. No, to me, you didn't make anything better, because you found God. So again, there still hasn't been a reason for me to find God or need him.
And that's why I wanted to bring that up, because what I wanted to do was lay out, because what you're talking about is exactly what this podcast title is: religion versus relationship. In the beginning, with your brother, for instance, right? It was all religion.
100%.
Shove it down your throat.
100%.
Shove it down your throat. I don't care what you think about it. I'm going to make you do it.
Yeah.
That is religion. And then it turned into relationship.
Correct.
Right? It turned into him going, wait a minute. I love him. I have to treat him as if I love him unconditionally.
Correct.
No matter what his thoughts are, no matter what his beliefs are, I just have to love him.
Right.
Okay? And so that's the religion versus relationship.
Right.
And that's kind of how we as human beings, and this is where I'm coming from, just to talk about this with this title here,
right,
is we go from religion, not understanding truly God's love for us,
right,
and then we get to this point of relationship where we start to understand. And obviously we continue to learn as we get older, but we start to understand, wait, relationship is different than religion. Relationship is, I love you unconditionally.
Right.
And that's where God is coming from. That's why when you talked about Jesus dying on the cross, that's the reason why he died on the cross, because if he didn't, then we would perish and go to hell. Okay. And this is obviously this little bit more expanded topic. So we will try not to get into too much of that because we don't have enough time to, but in terms of just having a relationship and understanding that it does take time to understand. It takes time to understand people, and it takes time to understand God and what he truly is and how much he truly loves us. Relationship takes time. It's also a process. So it's something that we just can't jump into and go, well, hey, I don't believe in it. Now you have that choice because we have that freedom of choice. But do you think you've given the time to foster a relationship to make a final decision on you and God?
Like I said, and this get another topic or whatever, but when I was on a ATV riding trip near the desert, and I ran out of gas, and the people that I left they were in trucks, so they move a lot slower. I was on my quad, and I ran out of gas, and it wasn't that hot, but it was in the middle of nowhere, and there was only one-way road, and I could see from a distance, and if I could see them, they're going to be there within 30 to 40 minutes, and that's it. So I was still there by myself. I couldn't go up a hill or down a hill. I would have to stay on the road because there's trees both sides. The terrain was crazy, and I ran out of gas. So it was probably an hour or two walking to campsite, and I didn't have any water. I didn't have anything. So just from what I saw on TV, I almost, I had to pee, but I kept it just in case I ran out of fluids. But anyways, the point to that was, even under that circumstance, I never looked up and pray to God and say, please help me. Not once. I didn't even think it. I'm just like, survival mode. What do we have to do? Abel, do we go forward or do we go backwards? God I didn't feel anything where God would say, hey, go backwards to your friends or go forward, to your camp. That's the best decision as God would give. And none of that came to me in my heart and this and that at its worst.
Now, in that situation, would you ever call someone you don't know to help you?
No.
Okay. So there's where I think the God part comes in. You would never call God because you don't know him, right? But so if I were to put God in those
Do you have God's number?
Yeah, it's just help. So what I'm trying to say here is, again, I'm going back to that religion versus relationship. And I think it does take time to understand. Just like if we didn't know each other this well, the only way we do know each other is because we actually communicate.
Right.
We know each other because of our time we spent together.
Right.
And even when we're apart, we still have called each other, we've still communicate. So that obviously is a relationship. Right. And so what I want to do, and this is not a push on you and everything. This is just to encourage, if you truly want to make a informed decision on it, and you may have already made your decision. Nope, I don't want it. Yeah. That is totally your choice. And I love you either way. Right. That's your choice. Right. But I do want to, because I believe that there is a heaven and there is a hell, I want to see you with me, in heaven.
Right.
So I want to encourage you to actually try a relationship first before making a final decision. And again, I don't want to even pressure you on that. That's up to you. That's just me loving you as a person and wanting the best for you. Now, when we talk about religion versus relationship, this is how it's going to be in the world, and I'm talking to everybody out there right now. This is how it is in the world, right? We have people that really don't understand, and then people that do finally start to understand, and it becomes going from religion, which is kind of a underinformed, more ignorant place to be, because you treat people hypocritically, right? People are hypocrites that way until you actually get to know them. And then it's a relationship and you're like, hey, wait a minute, I actually care about you. So it's so much harder to be, when we talk about like keyboard commandos, the guys that go off on people and hate on people over the internet. But then when you're actually sitting across the table, it's not like that anymore, right? Just because, hey, it's tougher to do that when you're actually in a relationship, even if it's a relationship where you don't know each other well, but meeting each other for the first time, it's just tougher when it's more intimate. Well, thanks, Abel, for putting that out there. And again, that's what I think we have to understand. Like, I understand that he does not believe in God. He doesn't want to follow God at this time. And I get that. And we understand it. I still have hope, though. Okay. But we still have a relationship that it does not matter for us to communicate and to understand each other and to love each other. Okay. I will still have his back. He will still have my back if something were to go down. So I want to emphasize the point. I want to end this saying, let's stop the religion and let's start creating the relationship. All right. So I think that's the final kind of word for the day is let's stop with the religion and let's really get into relationship and understanding what relationship really is. Unconditional love. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. My name is Clint Armitage. This is the Radio Coffee House, and we'll be coming back for more. So make sure you listen in. Take care now. God bless. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Radio Coffee House Show, where we're all about Jesus, coffee, and radio. We'll see you next time.